My 25 of 2025 was a hard pick. Not because I read so many good books. This year was really just a flop. I feel like 2024 was a better reading year than 2025 was because it was so hard to pick 25 books that I actually liked in the month, no, in the year of 2025. So, here are the best ones that I've read out of the many that I hated, which I believe I read 83 books. And it's really saddening because I read to enjoy myself, but it's really hard to enjoy yourself when every book either feels like a copy and paste, is dragged out, etc. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, this is just a list of some of my faves. Okay, so not all of these are actually quote unquote bad and just like the better of the bad books, but some of these I felt like these are like my last resorts because not all the books that I read this year were pretty good. So we're just gonna get into it. Okay. So the first book that I want to give a little mention to, this is a chunky book. Okay, I read this in the middle of the year. I want to say this book actually so fire. I love this book so much, and a lot of people gave it a lot of hype, and I understand why it has hype now because I was really scared when going into the series because usually when you read a Booktok book, it's not as good as it's hyped up to be. This book, on the other hand, was fantastic. I enjoyed myself. I was entertained. It was so well written, and also I felt like such a deep and personal connection with the characters. Like even after I finished this book, I was thinking about these characters 24/7, and I still do to this day. I'm waiting for the next book in the series to come out, but with all that being said, the first book that we have on this list is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Now, I am in America, so if you guys want to know how I got the UK cover, I basically just got it off of Waterstones. You guys can get it off of Waterstones. It's pretty easy, pretty cool, and all we have to do is just pay extra for shipping, but the books on Waterstones are actually pretty cheap. I think I got this for $8. Yeah, and the shipping was like $5. So you're not really paying way too much to get it shipped to the US. But this book, I feel like when you see people on TikTok and Booktok and Booktube and Instagram promoting this book, they say it's just a cute, quick, fluffy kind of romance, or at least that's how it's usually been described to me before I read this book. It is not that. It is not cute, it is not fluffy, and it is not sweet. It is a romance, and it is not a dark romance, but it has very dark topics. The FMC, Shannon, actually deals with a lot of stuff going on at home, and this could, trigger something. So I would really like. There's an entire page. I want to say there's like Hold on, I gotta find it. It got rained on, so it's kind of a little crinkly and crispy. Yes, in the author's note, it basically is a thing of trigger warnings where it tells you what is in this book. And this was actually supposed to be an adult novel, but in the US, they messed it up like they do everything else and rated it a YA. So it's been YA for a long time, but it just got bumped up to new adult. So I guess we get what we get, okay? But we still don't have the cute covers here in the US. I think the covers in the UK are 10 times better. But yes. The next book, which one? I have a lot of stacks. I'm just like picking them off. Okay. Let's do Fearless. Okay. So we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, and this book, you know, you know, Okay. So when I first read this book, I actually have a reading block on the entire series and this book. When I read this one, I feel like I was so in love with it and how it ended, but genuinely looking back at it, I feel like it could have been written better, and I feel like a copy and paste from the first book, right? Just with a little bit of higher stakes, but it really felt like we just were reading the same book from the first book in this trilogy. Um, it is a chunky book, as you can see, so it definitely was pretty dragged out. But I wouldn't say it was a bad book. But would I recommend starting the series? I think me earlier this year would have said yes, this was my absolute favorite series, favorite book series. Lauren Roberts was my absolute favorite author. But then I read like The Hunger Games, and as much as I don't like this book, The Red Queen, um, only the first book, Lauren, you've got some explaining to do, okay? So, while this series is very near and dear to my heart, because while Allie Hazelwood got me into writing, oh my goodness, Allie Hazelwood got me into writing, Lauren Roberts kind of kept me. No, not in writing, reading. Lauren Roberts kind of kept me in reading, and I first of all have to give her props for that because, girl. But as I look back on this and the rest of the series and the rest of her books, it's kind of suspicious, right? So Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Didn't make it onto the list. Barely. This was like last minute. Like I got to book 20 and I was like, okay, I need like 5 more books. And this made it into the list. It originally was not going to be in the list, but it made it. But with that being said, Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Let's do this one. Okay. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Okay, this book is so hated on in Booktok because everybody markets it as, or everybody says it's a romantasy. Do not call this book a romantasy. This book is fantasy throughout with a subplot of romance that does not come until the last 10 pages of the book. So if you're looking for a romantasy, this book is not it because the romance doesn't even come to like this part of the book, okay? I hate holding my books like that because I'm scared they're gonna rip, but you know, I have one hand occupied by this mic right now. But the romance does not come until the last 10 pages. You're not going to get the romance, okay? But The Cruel Prince was a pretty cool and pretty good read. I actually think I read this during the summer of this year, I want to say. No guarantees, not sure, I don't remember. But this book was pretty good and I would recommend it if you're looking for a fantasy novel. Okay. Okay, let's do something out of, we haven't done this pile yet, okay? So, Dating and Dragon. Dungeons and Drama, oh my goodness. Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This is actually a pretty short book. I read this one near the end of summer, and I listened to the audiobook for it. I want to say like the last 30% because I was like doing a lot of work near the last 30% of the book, but I actually physically read most of it. I actually have a reading blog where I read this. I think it was how many pages could I read in a week? I'll find it and I'll put it somewhere on the screen for you guys. But this book was pretty cute. It was fluffy. It was just something like a brain break because I feel like recently we've been getting romance books where the stakes for the book have to be so high all the time because people want that action, people want that type of like novel. But I just wanted a cute, fluffy romance book, and this was exactly that. This was fluffy. It was cute. It was short. It was quick. It was not dragged on, and it felt like it was short and simple. And it was just something to take my mind off. It was a quick refresher. This book was an automatic 5 stars for me. I absolutely positively loved this book. Okay, loved it. It was amazing. Well written. The book itself is great. The author writes so amazingly, and I like how she writes as well. So this book is definitely I recommend this to you if you guys just want a purely cute and fluffy romance with not that like high stakes. It's kind of like enemies to lovers, but I would say they're more like rivals in the workplace. Not enemies, but they're more like rivals in the workplace. It's not that serious to be having an enemy in the workplace, okay? It is not. Let's be real serious, okay? Like, if we're being real, do you really have an enemy at your job? Like, unless your enemy did something that could physically and emotionally scar you for the rest of your life, I highly doubt your coworker is your enemy, okay? And the best part about this is that it's YA, and I believe that this one is clean as well. Like, clean as in no cussing. I mean, it doesn't have any smut either because it's YA, but there's no cussing, I believe. Okay, next, we're going to do Trip Switch by Alison Specca. This book I actually got to arc read for in the beginning of the year, and it was so good, honestly. So it is a quick, fluffy romance. The stakes are kind of in the middle, mid-bar, right? But there's not actual high stakes. It's literally just a romance that takes place in, I believe, Rome. I believe it's in Rome, right? So it was pretty cool. I enjoyed myself. It's quick, it's fast paced, it was fun, it was cute, and it was also very fluffy. And I feel like Alison Becca writes very fluffy romances that are to be taken seriously, but at the same time, it's like you can also chill and relax and not have to like think way too hard. Because you know, like some romances, they'll be putting the most complicated stuff in their books just because. Alison Becca doesn't do that. She's a really chill and laid back author, and really, this is just like a brain break where it's not like you don't have to think 24/7 because it's just fluffy and it was cute. And I feel like when people hear that, oh, when you have to turn your brain off to read a book, that's kind of an insult to an author. No, it's more like, you know, there's nothing too complicated in the book, and it's just fun, enjoyable. It's a sit back and relax type of read, and that's definitely what I think that Alison Specca writes. And Trip Switch was a really good book. I would recommend it. It was really chill, and I loved it. Next pile. Which one did I do? Okay, next book. This book, actually, I wrote myself. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up, right? This is a fantasy YA clean mystery type of novel. And this is The Ruined Worlds by me. Now, since I did not do a synopsis of the other books, I'm going to give you a synopsis on this one. So, The Ruined Worlds is about two girls, Valentina and Amira, and they both find out that they are part of the royal family, but upon arrival at this castle that they have discovered they lived in now, like, wow, castle, cool, great. The staff, the chefs, the maids, everything, they want them dead. They want them gone. Or they want them under this curse that has been going in this castle for decades and generations, like literally they like it's no winning out here, right? So Valentina can talk to animals, communicate with them. Amira can start and create fires and control fires. You see how their powers don't really mix. They're also very opposite personalities. Valentina's like a Disney princess who loves to chat, who is very fun and upbeat and very bubbly, and Amira just wants to talk to literally nobody for the rest of her life. Okay, she doesn't like people. So these two have to team up, pair up, and basically try not to die and not get under this curse, and fight the jealousy that's been going on in for ages, right? So this book, I wrote it. It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle Unlimited as well, and I hope you guys read it. You guys can also check my Etsy and Depop down below. Depop, you guys can actually get my book, my signed copies of my book for discounted, and then Etsy, you guys get them for the normal price. So I guess it's really just up to you. Do you want to save money or do you want to spend money? Oh, not hating. Next up is Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. This one is a bit longer than Dungeons and Drama, but I loved it. It was so good, okay? So, as you can see, a lot of these, like I said, are not actually bad books. It's just, I wish they were better. This one was a 5-star though. But Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce, this one actually takes place in a very separate area. When I read the first few chapters, I thought it was describing the characters from the first book, and it was not, okay? This one has a tiny bit of higher stakes. It's kind of like a forbidden love kind of romance, but it's also very fluffy and it's cute and it's quick and it's sit back and relax. Like I said, love Christy Boyce for these kind of books because I don't want to be thinking 24/7, right? So it's nice to have a book that's chill and laid back and relaxed that I can just read without having to worry about the outcome, right? So yes, this is very good. I would say if you guys are choosing between reading either or, you don't have to read one before the other because, like I said, they take place with two completely different characters. No references to either of the books. Da 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 da. Okay, so it's just something that's chill. It's fun. You can read it whenever you want to, and I really recommend this one. This one was. I'm gonna say it. This one's actually better than the first one. Really good. Okay. Next book on our little list that we have here is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book I read in the summer. I'm going to take an estimated guess. I'm going to say I read it in the summer. It was really good. I enjoyed myself. It was fun. It was cute, but the stakes were in the mid bar. Okay, this book, I get the hype now. It's way better than Caraval. Did enjoy Caraval, but this is superior. Okay, if you guys have seen the hype around this, I would just say I personally recommend reading Caraval first because a lot of things will make more sense. Like certain characters that are in this book, even our male main character Jax takes place in Caraval first, and the reason he acts the way he does and background on him all comes from the Caraval trilogy. Okay, as well as we see a few other characters that come from Caraval, and things make a lot more sense when you read the first 3 books of Caraval and then read this one. Do I recommend reading the Caraval novella? No, it was stupid and it made me really mad, so you don't have to read that one. But I would just recommend reading at least. No, you have to read all 3 because literally you don't know what happens until you read the 3rd book. So, yes, I would say read Caraval first, but this book is better than Caraval. Okay, my hand is going over here now. This next one, I don't annotate books. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little preview. I don't annotate books ever, okay? Don't annotate books ever. This book is annotated to a T, okay? This is a clean Christian YA romance. It is so cute. It was so fun. I enjoyed myself a lot. And this book is called It's Horrendous Views by Poppy Leanne. This book was so nice, so cute, so fun. I enjoyed myself so much. This was such a fun, quick, laid back, chill, relaxed read. It was so fluffy. It was so nice. It was a fast pace as well. As you can see, guys, I was annotating up a storm. Genuinely, I don't remember half the stuff I annotated here, but I must have been having a really good time because once again, I don't annotate books, and I genuinely was thinking about getting another one that has no annotations, because I don't like to annotate my books. I don't like to have annotated books on my shelf. I end up not doing it though because this is actually really cute now that I'm like looking at it from afar. The annotations are pretty cute and so are the tabs. Does that mean I'm gonna start annotating books? Heck no. Heck no. But I do like having my annotated books on my shelf. Nothing wrong with that. Am I right? So yes, it's a rendezvous. Okay, where am I choosing from next? We're choosing this one. This one I definitely read in the summer. And I read this book in 11 hours. This was such a fun, quick, fluffy read. I read this in under 11 hours. I literally finished. I started it at 4 a.m. in the morning because that's when I went to. I don't do that anymore because I'm so busy during winter, fall, and spring. But in the summer, I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning and I go on a walk all the way up until 6 o'clock. Then I go grocery shopping from 6 all the way to about 8 o'clock. And yeah, I come home and I take a shower and I relax and do all that fun stuff. I read this whole book, audiobook. Then I came home and finished it on paper under 11 hours. Under 11 hours. This book was so good. This book is called Problematic Summer Romance by Ella Hazelwood. I realized I'm just not telling you guys the title. Telling you guys everything about this book. Telling you guys my whole morning routine. Tell you guys how much this book is so good. But I didn't even tell you guys the title. Yes. Problematic Summer Romance by Ella Hazelwood. This book was so good. So fun. It was so fluffy. And if you guys, I did not read, I did read, but I did not like Not in Love by Ella Hazelwood. It was not good. It was not good. Right? But this is a continuation of that story. Now, you guys, this one does, you don't really have to read Not in Love to read this one because like there's no major like things you're not gonna understand or anything like that. You might get it confused a little bit near the end because there's something that we were told in the first book, but that makes more sense when you read the second book. But I don't think you're required to read the first book to read the second book. The first book was not worth it. The second book I absolutely adore. So yeah, I'm gonna summer runs for Ellie Hazelwood. Okay, next up is this. This is by an indie author because, of course, we gotta support our indie authors here, girl. We always support our indie authors on the channel. I don't know what you guys thought this was. I'm an indie author, so we gotta support the other indie authors, right? This book is a romance, and it's a hockey romance, actually. Right? Yeah, it's a hockey romance. I haven't read a sports romance in a while, but this one was so good. I read this one like right before fall hit, or probably during fall, like right when fall hit. Doesn't matter. You guys get what I'm saying, okay? This book. I shed literal tears. Read it all in 1 or 2 days, I want to say. Don't remember, but it was definitely not a week. It took me 1 or 2 days to read this book. So quick, so fast paced. Stakes are pretty high. It's a pretty dark book. So, are there trigger warnings here? Yes, it does. It does have it does have trigger warnings in the notes from the author page on this in the beginning of this book. Please read the trigger warnings. Guys, this book is not lighthearted and fun and fluffy like the usual hockey romances. This is a pretty dark book, okay? So, yes, it's also not heavy on the spice. It was only one scene, and I appreciate that so much because I cannot stand when books have so many spice scenes. Why do we need so many? Like, can we just get a normal book, please? Yes. So, this book is Breaking Point by Mads Rafferty. This was so good. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. Literally, I'm ready for the next book. And she just announced to us that the second book might be coming out a lot sooner than we thought it would. I'm so excited. This was such a good book. Okay, so please check your trigger warnings. It is not something to be taken lightly. There's a lot of mentions of like depression and substance abuse and addiction, and there's also grief and death, and there's like a lot of dark topics. So please check your trigger warnings for this. It is not a lighthearted book. Okay, next up is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This book, I have a reading blog on this one as well. So much fun. It was so good. I loved it. I love my time. I just definitely feel like this book deserves like 27 more awards. Okay, I know it has so many, and it has its movie, it has adaptations, and it has coloring books and everything like that. This needs like 27 more awards. Did I cry? Like, I didn't cry, but I was close to tears. Okay, I don't cry over books often. I was really close to tears with this book, though. Suzanne, stop playing games in my face, please. Okay, stop playing games in my face. Okay, that's all I gotta say. I recommend it though. Next one is Ignite Me by Tahara Mafi. I read this one in the same video I read Dungeon Drama, believe, right? This it's a pretty good book. I absolutely fell in love with the characters, and I found out why people like some of the characters that I did not like in the first two books so much. This book right here made me love characters and also made me hate a lot of characters, and that just meant that Tara was doing her job. Okay, she was doing a real good job making me hate people and doing a real good job making me love people. Okay, so do I recommend reading this one? First book, did not like it. Okay, second book, getting better. The third book, though, when people say the third book is the best book, it is truly the best book in the series so far, as what I've read. But first book is not that good, but the second book is good, and this is the best one that I've read so far. I'm currently on the fifth book, but yes, yes. Well, yes. Okay. Where am I going next? Okay, let's do this one. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I don't know why I forgot her name. Caraval, such a peak book. I love this. Stephanie Garber, you are a queen. Okay, I did not like Tella in this book. A lot of people don't like Tella in the first book, so I'm glad it's not just me. But Caraval is such a good book, such a good novel. And I know I said Once Upon a Broken Heart is better. It is better, but that doesn't mean this is bad. This is actually a pretty good book. Okay. Also, I forgot that I read this. Like, I definitely read this at the beginning of the year. I forgot that I didn't forget that I read it. I forgot I read it this year. I thought I read it last year, but I checked my Fable and my Goodreads. This was the first book I read of this year, I believe. So that's probably why I thought it was last year. Okay, this book, once again, indie authors, as usual. Shades of Red by Jane Thompson. I'm so tired, so if I mess up somebody's name, don't come for me, okay? Shades of Red by Jane Thompson. This book I have a reading blog on as well, I believe. Either that or it's in another reading blog, one or the other. This book, fantastic. Fantastic. Y'all are playing games in my face, okay? No, I'm kidding though. But this does leave like on a cliffhanger of sorts, and that's kind of why I'm acting all upset because I need to know what happens next, and I don't have the next book in my hand right now. Yes, this book was so good though, and I definitely do recommend reading this one. You don't have to read any of her other books to read this one because there's no like references of, well, there are but there aren't, right? But there's nothing that you would need to know from previous books that she's published to read this one. This is a completely new series, completely new characters, completely new like location. So all that being said, Shades of Red was such a good book. Okay, it's also a dystopian. We love dystopian. Okay. Right here, The Summer of Broken Rules by Kale Walther. I read this during the summer of this year, and it was so good. It was so fast paced, and it was so much fun. It was so fluffy, and I enjoyed myself so much. And I definitely see why this book gets as much hype as it does because it's generally just so fun. It was so fast paced. It was fluffy. It is a little dark, as like it's dark areas, but it's not like dark, okay? It's not dark, but it does have its little dark areas. This book was so good. It was so much fun. I cannot wait for Kale Walther's next book to come out because I believe her next one comes out next year, okay? Yes, queens. Okay, last book in this pile, Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. I do not have the UK version yet. I need to order it. I have not ordered it yet. But this book is better than Binding 13. You do not need to read any of the other books to read Releasing 10. Maybe for the next book, you will. This is Releasing 10? Yeah, Releasing 10. This is only because this entire book takes place in their past, okay? Takes place in their past. So nothing in the current, like the other books, happens in this book, except for Taming 7, because Taming 7 also has bits from their past, but you know, not that crazy. So, yes, this book was so good. I enjoyed it, and I think you should read it. It is a little later. I had to take a little break. I actually don't remember where we left off. I'm just gonna put everything in one pile now. But okay, I remember where we left off. We left off at Releasing 10. Okay, so now we're gonna do the last of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 more books. Let's go ahead and go through them, okay? Next book on our list is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This book of a book is a book of a book, okay? Listen, last year, for our Pale Book Club, which you guys should go join, by the way, because this month we are reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. I've already read it, but everybody wanted to read it, so, join the for book club. But for our book club pick for December 2024, everybody wanted to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And I was like, okay, cool, sure, because I want to read a classic, right? I want to know what it's like to read a classic. And I could not understand a single word that, I was bored, didn't understand it. It was a lot going on. Okay, so then I was scared to continue with any other classic novel, classic book. But then I decided, you know what, stop being a baby about it and pick up another classic. And Little Women was the classic I decided to pick up, and this was so good. This was so good. Okay, it was phenomenal. It was outstanding. It was also so fun, and it was a great coming of age story where it's a lot of twists and turns in the story, but not like it's crazy. And the stakes aren't too high, so you're not stressed out the whole book, but you're enjoying yourself rather the entire book. So I would just say that this is definitely the classic to read if you're trying to get started because Louisa writes like she's in the 2000s, like the early 2000s. Like she writes like one of us. Okay? So I definitely think this is a good classic to start out with if you guys are trying to start out with reading classics, okay? It's so good. Next up is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I read this around the same time I read Taming Seven, which was about the end of summer. And this book was so good. I really enjoyed myself. This was such a great novel. I love how Lynn Painter writes. She is such a great novelist. And I really feel like this one is definitely worth the read. Out of all of Lynn Painter's books, do I think this is the best one? People hype up Better Than the Movies so much, and Better Than the Movies would be in this list, but I read that last year around Thanksgiving of last year, so it's not in this list. It's just books that I read this year. Okay, so this book, I think, in my personal opinion, is Better Than the Movies. Okay, this book that she wrote right here is definitely Better Than the Movies. Better Than the Movies is amazing. It's a great book, and I loved it so much, and I cannot wait to read the second one. I just have not done that yet, but this right here, Betting on You, is definitely one of those books where I'm just like, okay, this is the underdog out of all these. I like, like there's always an underdog of a book from a very popular author. Okay, like people always underestimate the other books because one of the books by that author is so popular. This right here is that book that is so underestimated by Lynn Painter's fans. Okay, this book deserves a standing ovation. This book is so good. I love it so much. The next book here is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This book, I know we've already had three of her books up here. I read literally most most of her backlog except for one book regarding the Boys of Tommen series, at least just this year. Okay, Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This was such a hard read, as in this was like so depressing and it was so dark. And once again, when it comes to Chloe Walsh's books, please read your trigger warnings. These books are not to be taken lightheartedly. These books are not cute. They are not fluffy. These books are dark and they can also be very depressing and they can really upset you. Okay, so this is one of those books where I was just like, okay, dang, like this book was pretty dark. Like it got dark quick. Actually, it was dark off the bat. No, it wasn't because Chloe Walsh gave us a grasp of happiness and then snatched it from us because she's evil. How about them apples? Yeah. The camera angle in this video has changed like 27 times. Deal with it. Okay. Next book. This book I'm so excited to yap about real quick is First Time Caller by B.K. Morrison. How do I explain this? Because people don't like this book because it's so low stakes and it's fluffy and it's cute and it's chill and laid back. I loved it because of those reasons. It was so chill, it was so laid back, it was so fluffy, it was so cute, it was just so quick and fast paced. I finished this in 24 hours. Um, I want to say that I read this like in spring of this year, and this book was so good. It was so worth the read, and I'm so glad I took the time to read it. The day that it took me to read this whole book, I'm so glad. Now, people who love this book also don't like other books by B.K. Morrison, which I'm so surprised. But I'm just hoping that And Now Back to You, which is the second book in the Heartstrings series, duology, trilogy, whatever it's gonna be, is like if not as great but better than the first book because this book actually has me hooked and that makes me want to read more books by B.K. Morrison. So yes, I do think this was a pretty good book that I read this year. Next is Restore Me by Tahira Mafi. This book is not as good as Ignite Me, but this was actually a pretty good book. And once again, I was running out of books to put on this list. It's not. I didn't read a lot of good books this year, guys. But Restore Me by Tahira Mafi. This was pretty good. I enjoyed myself. I loved meeting the new characters that we meet in this book, and it's not really a spoiler. If you guys are on Pinterest, you guys are probably familiar with some characters you don't see in the books ever. They appear in Restore Me. Okay, they appear in Restore Me. This was such a good book. It was also just pretty chill and laid back. I felt like this book was not that high of stakes until really the end, which was pretty cool because we just got kind of like a laid back, chill kind of book for the series, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like this was definitely worth the read though. Next up, we have Diamond in the Rough by Jane Thompson. Once again, I think this is included in a how many pages can I read video. That is okay. Girl, it is fine. We are cool. We are chilling like a villain, okay? So, this book was pretty good. I loved it so much. I read it. It was such a quick and fast paced book. And I do recommend reading this one by Jane Thompson. This is, if I had to choose between the two, I definitely do think that Shades of Red is my favorite from what she's written. But Diamond in the Rough is not a bad book. It's actually really, really, really good. So I do recommend reading this one. And once again, you do not need to read Shades of Red to read this one. These are two completely different series, two completely different books, and they can be read separately. Okay, just get that straight. Clear the air real quick. Okay, this and Shades of Red, two completely different books. You guys can read them at whichever one you want. Okay. Next up is Fearful by Lauren Roberts. Once again, we were running out of books to put on this list. I had to resort to something that I didn't absolutely hate. Okay, so yeah. For the first half of the book, I was kind of confused. Okay, we were switching between first and third point of view, and I kind of hate when we do that in books because it's kind of just like choose one, right? Choose one. But we didn't do that. We kept switching, and it also felt like we were not really even following the two main characters' love story because I was more interested in Blair and whatever his name is love story than I was with Deaths and Kits. Long story short. Long story short. Yep. And the last book on this list, which once again I'm surprised I read this one this year because it doesn't feel like this year, but according to my Fable and my Goodreads, it was this year, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book was really good. Okay? This is actually the best out of all of the books. Okay? The other two books were pretty mid. Not gonna lie to you, this one was the best out of the three that I've read so far, and I was so interested and I was so intrigued. Actually, people hate on Iron Flame, but Iron Flame was not a bad book. Okay, I definitely think Iron Flame was better than Onyx Storm. Don't fight me, don't hate me, none of that. I think Onyx Storm is probably at the bottom of my list. This is at the top, and then Iron Flame is the second book, and then it's literally in order. First book is Fourth Wing, second book is Iron Flame, third book is Onyx Storm. I'm just hoping that whatever the next book is going to be in the series or whatever is better than Onyx Storm because Onyx Storm I was kind of bored. Like after the first half of the book, I was kind of bored. So yeah, Fourth Wing for the win. Anyways, that is it for today's video. Because all enjoyed. This is like this year has been so crazy, so much fun, and we've got to do so much together. And of course, MADIMAS videos are not over. We're literally on day I don't even know. But Madimus has a few more days left. Just a few, not a lot, but just a few more days left. And I'm so excited to spend the rest of Madimus with all of you. So, with that being said, if you guys have any recommendations you guys want me to read in 2026, so I have some actual good books to read in the year of 2026, I would love to see those in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for this ride and this amazing stuff. Like, we've been doing so much this year. We read so many books together. We've done a lot of reading vlogs this year. I'm so proud of me. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of us. We are amazing. We are girlies. We are girl bosses. Literally, okay, we've done so much this year. We've hung out so much this year. I'm so glad we got to read as much as we did because while I did not enjoy most of the books that we read, I read books, and that's so important because not everybody has the privilege of reading and getting to read books on a paper, be able to read pages and flip the pages of a book. Not everybody has that privilege. So I'm just grateful and I'm blessed by God that I'm able to read and I'm able to flip the pages and I'm able to talk about books with you guys and even just say that these are my 25 of 2025. These are my top 25, but yeah, these are my top 25 books of 2025. If I had to recommend you 25 out of the 80 something books I read this year, then these 25 would be it. Even if some of them I didn't like as much as I did others, these would be the 25 out of the 80, I think, 3 that I read this year. And I'm still reading, so yeah, that's just so cool. It's so much fun. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Kisses, Maddie out, and goodbye.